Okay, so we're going to make a winter bauble. Now, these are our more special baubles. They're like little maquettes of our range, really. So you make one gather. Now, I always have to have a discussion with people about how heavy the baubles are I make. Now, first of all, I was scarred when I grew up by undoing the Christmas decoration box and all those beautiful, and they were beautiful, incredibly fine glass baubles, not all of them, but every year some more of them were broken. And it did used to annoy me hugely. So when I started making baubles, and also as a general rule at glass, I don't really want to make things that are throwaway and breakable. That's the first thing. Now, on top of that, I could make them a lot thinner. But if I made them a lot thinner, they might not be quite so round. I'd end up with vast amounts more seconds, and they'd break, which all seems to me to be negatives. And generally, when you're dealing with a glass bauble, most of the time you're looking at it. You're not putting it on a pair of scales, you're just looking at it. And we all know a bauble is not for Christmas, it's for all year round. So be imaginative, hang them in your gardens, on your trees, on your curtain rails, on your window hooks. Just put them on a hook on the wall. Do whatever you want to do with them, because I find it a bizarre thing to buy something nice and then put it away for 50 weeks of the year. It seems a bit strange to me, but there we go, each their own. So I have baubles all everywhere, mostly seconds, I have to admit. I particularly like the baubles in the garden that you forget they're there until all the leaves fall off the trees. Then you go, oh look, what's that? Oh, it's a bauble I put there last year. Quite like that. So there's all the colour on it. So that's a mixture of different coloured eggshell and K2 Tornado Red chips. So I'm going to heat the whole thing in. So at the moment we've got black on the bottom, white on the top. Now again, if I tried to make this bauble very thin, those two colours are almost diametrically opposed of how they deal with heat. So it'd be very difficult to make a perfectly round bauble. And in reality, round is non-negotiable. It's not something that you can make nearly round, or it's almost round. Round is round. And I quite like these things to be round. And I don't make them in a mould, although I do have a former to help me make them the same size. So I'll put some air in there. So I've blown down the iron, I've got my thumb over the end. If I've done it right, the air will expand and the bauble will start blowing out on its own, which is just starting to happen there. Bit slow. So I'm going to do it again. Still a bit slow, probably because I'm talking. So, back to the glory hole. I've thumbed it again. And hopefully if all goes well, which it is now, it's blowing out. So I'm going to get this a little bit hotter. And generally these baubles take 2 or 3 reheats to get them spot on. So I'm going to start cutting in. This is where the bauble comes off the blowing iron. And blow. So it's a bit of blowing, a bit of cutting in. I'm trying to make sure I'm close to round. This is a wonder block. And you're supposed to line them with cork if you're using them for what they're supposed to be used for. But I'm just using them to make sure I've got the bauble the right shape. Now generally when I'm blowing it like this, I think that bauble's a little bit flat, not quite round. So I'm just going to stick it back in here. I'm just going to swing it, which I'm pretty sure will make it round. Now, just by my side here, I've got an airline, so I'm just going to cool the whole thing down a bit. And then over here, we have our bauble knocking off station. So you can see there's still a little hole at the top of that bauble, because if I close that in completely, what will happen is as the air inside the bauble cools down, the pressure will be so great it can bring the sides of the bauble in, and obviously that makes it a non-round bauble or a second. So I'm going to I've got a gatherer glass here. I've made it into a little sausage. I'm going to come over here, I'm going to put it over the hole at the top, push down, pull right up quite quickly. This goes into my bucket of clear. I've got a pair of tweezers here, and you bend over, the cut bit has to go in the middle of the blob of glass. And you just make sure, and that's the hook you end up with. Now that's cooling down so quickly, I can now take my bauble putter away, pick it up by its hook, and again, that has to go into my annealer to cool down slowly. Thank you very much.